To the show, The Daily Fire. Today's topic is this. I don't feel good today. Now what? Sit back and relax, and welcome to today's show. So here's the reality. The reality is I'm pretty confident I have an upper respiratory infection that if it doesn't go away is going to turn into a lower respiratory infection, which is pneumonia and bronchitis and all sorts of other things. And ultimately, I guess back in the olden days, could lead to my death. I'm not worried about dying. But I know it's a problem when you cough and it tastes like there's metal in your mouth. I thought it was blood. I was actually able to get some of the whatever I was coughing up out. It wasn't blood, which is good. I'm like, shit, if it's blood, I'm probably literally about to be dead. Not blood, so not going to die, at least yet. And but don't feel good. And alarm went off this morning, got up out of bed, did my normal morning routine stuff, and I was just tanked. Just no energy, gassed out. And so I made an audible, took an audible. Even though this first year was interesting, I had to wrestle with my mind of being like, what is it worth? What does it cost? Right? And I know that if I've push my body, push everything too hard right now, this could be weeks and weeks and weeks of recovery instead of days. And so I went with the days. And but it's an interesting place to be when you don't feel good and you pull back just a little bit. And I have a narrative in my head always that I'm just lazy and I don't work hard enough and I'll do this, which is probably why I do half of the stupid, crazy things I do. Why I've done 75 hard multiple times, why I did ultra marathons, why like the David Goggins 4x4x48. That's just to name a few of the just extreme things that I do. I put myself in these positions to do them all the time, and I've done it since I can remember. It's who I am. It's just what I do, right? And I think I'm fighting that story. I'm fighting that narrative, but today was one of those days, man. I did not feel great. And at the end of the day, we're all going to have this, right? You're going to have these situations, these feelings. You're going to feel this way. You're going to feel that way. But the question then becomes, what do you do with it, right? And so I went to my stack this morning, and I'm talking to God, and it's pretty interesting because God basically was real clear with me. He's like, Trevor, I already told you what to do. You just need to go do it. Just go do the thing. Stop worrying about the things that haven't happened. Because here's what's wild, guys. I'm sitting there yesterday. I'm putting together my client path, and I'm putting it together from very, very beginning, like to when they see an ad, all the way to where would they go if they've been my client for years, right? And I'm putting this path together, and I start noticing these little pockets of fear that are showing up in things that haven't even happened yet, right? It's literally in things that have not happened, and I'm like, well, but what if I don't get enough of this, and what if this doesn't do this? And it's literally steps. They're like 4 steps down the road, and it's so interesting. And I think we do this all the time because we can't see the full picture. It's impossible. It is impossible for you to see the version of yourself that you're becoming when you're who you currently are. All you can see is who you currently are, your current stories, your current narratives, all of that. That's all you can see. That's all you're privy to. Because just the nature of this beast, right? This is why we have to rely on God. We have to rely on mentors. We have to rely on coaches. We have to rely on people who have been or they can see where we're going so they can help guide us and lead us and get us to where we actually want to go. And so I see these little pockets, and I know all this that I just explained to you. So I know all this, so I see these pockets of fear, and I'm just like, I can either let this fear control me, or I can make a decision to do something else and just keep going anyways, right? Fear control me, or just keep going. Those are really the only 2 options that I saw. And what was cool today is I have this, I guess we'll call it leverage, and I didn't learn it, but I really liked how it was talked about in the Michael Jordan video or his movie series, his little mini series. What was that called? The Last Dance. Right? Watch that. But how Michael Jordan would manufacture competitors. Right? He would literally make things up in his mind to get him more competitive. Right? He would pretend that somebody was talking trash to him. He would pretend that somebody said something, and then he would use that as leverage for himself. I love the idea. I'm like, and that's just my personality. I love it. I'm like, dude, that's a crazy cool thing to do. So I saw today, and I've started to do this with there's several individuals, and I think I talked about this maybe yesterday's show or maybe last week's show, but I talked about how my phone, my home screen for my phone says I'm going to beat him, and him represents certain things to me, and it actually represents 5 different people right now. And these are 5 people. I'll never name their names. They'll never know that they were my competition, which is hilarious. But I'm using them as leverage that I'm going to beat them. And then today what also came to me is realizing that I have this feeling of feeling behind. And I kind of like wanted to try to get rid of this feeling of feeling behind. But then I realized, no, what if that's also something I can leverage? What if feeling behind is also something I can use? Meaning I can take feeling behind and use it as fuel to get me to do more work. So my conclusion today has been the following. The fact that I can manufacture competition to drive me forward, and I can also use the feelings of feeling behind, inadequate, and like just behind the curve, like oh, I should have done more, or whatever. I can use that as absolute leverage, right? And I've had a couple coaches and mentors say this, and I've heard it said by a lot of really successful people that if you are a high achiever, you are always going to feel behind. There's always more you could have done. There's always something. And I think the frame on the story is that that's wrong. Somehow I want to get rid of that feeling. But I'm realizing right now I don't want to get rid of that feeling. I don't want to get rid of that feeling at all. That feeling is fuel for me. So I have two leveraged fuels today that I've realized, right? Number one is those lists. There's 5 people. It's 5 people. They're the him to me. Those are 5 people. And then I'm manufacturing where they're at. I'm literally going to make up in my mind, not that they're talking trash on me, but that they're doing more than me, which is going to fuel the feeling of feeling behind. And in that feeling of behind, I'll execute better. That's me. I don't know if this formula will work for a lot of you. This is probably a bad formula for most of you. Most of what I say you probably should disregard because I'm kind of crazy. I do things extreme. I go extreme. It's just what I do. But if you're one of those extreme people, those are people that love to do this, like I would start to look at ways to manufacture your execution. How do you get yourself to do more, right? If I work for somebody, if we're talking business, and I work for someone and I have an expectation of the things I need to do, it's pretty easy to execute. Either do the thing or lose your job. It is much harder when you work in an office out of your home or your own office. You don't have a boss telling you, hey, if you don't do this, you're fired, right? The expectations are results based only. To be 100% responsible for the results in your life is not an easy place to live in. Because if you take the foot off the gas, guess what? The results take the foot off the gas. There is no guarantee. This is why very few entrepreneurs ever actually succeed. There's I think the last statistic, and I know statistics are pretty much BS, but the last one I saw was something like 7% of the world is an entrepreneur, and out of that 7%, only 5% of them, not 5 out of the 7, like 5% of the 7, which means an even smaller number, is actually successful. There's a reason for that. There's a reason there's a top 1, 2, and 3% of the world that controls all the wealth, money, and power. There's a reason. It's because most people do not like to live in this pressure of expansion and growth. So, and that's fine. If you don't like living in that, then just settle in for average and know that you will have an average life, an average existence, and no one will remember your name besides the 5 people that lived around you. And who you became on this earth when you meet your maker will be representative of the average life that you live. If that's not your calling in life, if you want more than that, I have an invitation for you. Become more. Simple as that. Attack. Don't settle. Find ways to leverage your execution. Do more than you did yesterday. Even if you're sick, even if you don't feel good, right? I'm obviously not doing the same things that I did yesterday. There's no possible way. I'm exhausted. I got like no energy. It's the weirdest thing ever. I hate it. I hate it. So I'm probably going to get an appointment with the doctor so I can get in there and if it's in fact an upper respiratory infection, which is what I think it is. I sound like I have a rattle in my lungs. I can hear it when I just lay down and breathe. It sounds like there's a rattle. Not a good sign. No, but so if it's that, I need antibiotics. My body's not going to be able to fight it without them, which is whatever. It is what it is. So, but I need to get that handled because I hate being sick. I hate feeling this way. So obviously, what I'm doing is a little bit different, but I'm not stopping. I'm not taking my foot off of the gas of the direction I need to go. And God was real clear with me. Leverage the 2 things I gave you: competition and feeling of not enough, or not enough, that I'm behind. Those 2 things, and just keep going. Do what I already told you to do, and I know what to do. I've got the map, so I'm excited to get the map done and get it all set up and established. But like, you've got to find this for yourself. Like, you have to find this for yourself. How do you get yourself out of bed? How do you get yourself to the gym? How do you get yourself to start eating healthy? How do you get yourself to start being a good husband? How do you get yourself to start being a good father and investing in your kids? How do you get yourself to start reading something that's going to make you a little bit smarter, something that's going to help teach you some insight? How do you become a leader for other people? Like, you have got to find your formula. This is mine. I'm sharing with you my formula. And you crazy little bastards out there, This formula might work for you. Some of you other guys, this may not work for you. Right? The feeling of being behind, some of you guys be like, why would you want to feel that? And don't get it twisted. It's not that I want to feel it. It's that I'm trying to find a way to leverage myself to go like I've never gone. And I've got some sick results. I look at my life, it's unrecognizable from last year. Like, it's crazy. I look at 2023 as I recapped and looked through the life. I'm like, how is it possible? And look at the background behind me. This is literally my backyard. It takes me less than 5 minutes to get where I'm sitting right now. Less than 5 minutes from my house, I sit right here. It's crazy. It's crazy. I never would have anticipated. And I'm not just on some beach. I'm in one of the most beautiful places on the planet Earth. On the whole Earth. That's crazy. How is that possible? How do I live? How do I afford to live here? How have I pulled in the type of revenue? As I was looking at my year-end numbers, I'm like, holy crap. That's crazy. And what's wild is if I don't take time to see that, then I don't give myself any credit. But then I also have to realize that's just a starting point for where I'm actually going and where I'm taking my family and where I'm leading my life to be able to make the greatest impact I possibly can. And right now, the greatest impact is to help other people to figure out that this formula to succeed in life, to be happy, fulfilled, and to ultimately be who you want to be, it's not hard or complicated. It's very, very simple. It's very, very simple. It just comes down to you being able to do it. Right? You've got to surround yourself with people who are also driving and want to be who they're meant to be. Right? And one of the most fulfilling thing in this life is to be able to help others do it. I've figured some things out because I've gone to war in ways that many people have refused to go. They just won't do it. But because I figured it out, the cool part about that is I can help somebody else. And there's nothing greater than that for me. To be able to help somebody else get it, to see it, to realize, oh, this is what I could do. What if I just did this? Right? I started several groups of new people this first of the year. And it is so exciting to be with their new energy and the new excitement and have them realize that the key to their success and happiness was actually simplicity. It wasn't overcomplicated. It wasn't some magical thing or something that only other people had. No, they literally hold the keys. And it's just a simple matter of understanding, learning them, and then executing and going. So that's my formula, competition, feeling like I'm behind. What's yours? Take a look at your world around body, being, balance, and business. Where do you need to execute better? Where are you using things like, oh, I don't feel good today, or just whatever excuse you want to fill in the blank, to not doing the things that you know you need to do? And what can you do about it today? What's one thing that you can do about it today? And implement it. Execute on it. Do it. Do that thing. So that's all I got for you. As always, this is your boy, Trevor J. I screw up my sign-off more than anything else. It's the funniest thing ever. Here we go. We'll try it again. As always, this is your boy, Trevor J. White, reminding you that I did the same thing. My wife and I have a podcast, and I screw it up every single time. Hold on. Oh, yeah, I remember it now. Okay. This is your boy, Trevor J. White, reminding you that you're just one. You can see that I hesitated right there. That wasn't because I was trying to emphasize. I forgot it again. I think it's the sickness. I'm going to blame it on the sickness. Last time, we're going to get it. This is your boy, Trevor J. White, reminding you that you're just one pivot away.